Have you ever had a time when you're working on your budget, you've allocated everything out in all your categories, as we've done before when we talked about that credit card video, and all of a sudden you realize my insurance is due, and you're trying to figure out, maybe I only have a few $100s left, and you're like, oh, well, that's good, I can handle that because I have enough money left. I have just enough to cover my insurance. And then a week later, a car repair. You have to fix your car. Something's happened. There's no money left in the budget to allocate there. Maybe you don't have any savings yet, and you're looking and you're trying to figure it out. So what usually happens? The old credit card comes out. Unfortunately, you get in debt. You have to figure out a plan to pay off the credit card, and it just feels like you never get ahead. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about how you can budget for known expenses that are going to happen in the future, or unexpected expenses, but they are expected. It's just that you just don't know when they're going to happen, and use that to help even out your budget. So what do we mean by that? On a lot of videos, you'll see what's called sinking funds. Sinking funds is a business term, and what that means is that the business would set aside money for debt that they knew they had to pay in the future. You can apply that same principle in your personal budget. It's also known as just saving for that expense, because in your budget, you're not just budgeting for your expenses that you're going to do every month, but you should also be budgeting for those known expenses and saving towards them. So let's walk through what that would mean. We have our budget, we've set aside all the money, these are our known expenses every month. So we're doing that. Now, what else you need to do is look at your calendar and look at those known expenses. So if, for example, insurance, any kind of insurance that happens at a specific due date. Property taxes would be another one if you're not incorporating it into your mortgage. Home or car insurance, even your subscriptions, say you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can do this with all of those. So what you do to start with this is I look at my insurance, I say, when is it due? So right now we're filming the video in May, and we say that the insurance is due in 6 months, and it's $600 for ease. So I would need to set aside $100 a month to have that $600 available to me when the bill comes due. So then, rather than scrambling and trying to find that $600, every month I simply set aside $100. Next month comes, I set aside another $100. And I keep doing that for the 6 months, and then the bill comes due. I don't have to scramble. I go to my insurance category in my budget. I see that there's $600. I pay the bill, and then I start the whole process over again. Now the benefit here is, now if this is a yearly one, instead of having to set aside $100, I can set aside $50 a month every month until the bill is due. So that is one where it's a known expense, you have a known amount, and you can set that aside on either a monthly or paycheck basis. So either figure out the number of months you have, or you can look at the number of paychecks you have and set aside so much per paycheck to make sure you have enough. Now the next one we have is, I'm going to talk about, is holidays, large holidays. Now, a really good example in the Western world where I am is Christmas, right? Christmas comes December 25th. It's a very large holiday for myself. It could be if you're another religion or any other celebrations you have. Maybe you have a really big Easter or a big Thanksgiving. So what you do for that is figure out all the expenses that you're going to have for that event. So in the case of Christmas, I would plan what I want to spend. Now, this is something that maybe people aren't thinking about ahead of time, but to make this work, you need to figure that out. So I could look at previous years and say, oh, I want to spend about this much. I could also then lay out. So I can say how many people in my family I'm going to give gifts to, set a dollar amount per gift. I can also figure out if I'm going to send out cards and I have to send it with postage if it's going snail mail. And maybe I'm going to buy extra food, new decorations if I need for this year. If I do a lot of baking, maybe I have to increase my groceries for that reason. And then I figure out all of that cost, and let's say I have a very large family and it's $2,400. If I start in January, $2,400 by Christmas means I have to set aside $200 a month for Christmas. Now, maybe you have a smaller family or just you're limited in your funding. Even setting aside $5 a month, $10 a month gives you that little bit and avoids bringing out the plastic and then trying to figure out how you're going to pay for that, right? So the same principle applies as the insurance. I'm going to continue every month to put my money as I get it aside into Christmas, and I will have that money available. The other nice thing is, as I build this up, if I see a sale on a gift that I'm looking for, I can come to my Christmas fund, look at it and say, hey, I have the money. I can easily buy that gift, take the money out, buy the gift, go and hide it as appropriate, and still have enough money to carry on. And I just keep contributing the same amount every month. So that's another style of known expense because you have a little bit more control on that one. Now the third type, that's a little bit more common, but it'll really help things, is the old car repair. So anything that's maintenance related. So if it's a car or your house or anything like that, maybe you have an RV, anything that you want maintenance wise that you need to upkeep, but you can also have other expected but unknown time frame for an expense. So for example, in a car, I have to do oil changes on a regular basis. I live in Canada and it's snowy where I live, so I put winter tires on and then I take them off in the spring, so I know I have to pay for 2 tire changes. I also know I need to buy my tires, so I can start anticipating that cost. I know when I need to replace them, but I'll also have unexpected expenses. So I have a accident and maybe I have to pay a deductible on getting my car repaired. Or if I have an older car, something goes wrong with it and I need to make a repair. So in this case, what you need to do is, again, figure out what that cost is. So figure out what your known expenses are, the oil change, the tires, the tire rotations, and then give yourself an amount. So you might need to talk to a mechanic or somebody else who's knowledgeable. You can also look at your historical figures that you have, walk around if you have your house, walk around and figure out, do I need to replace my roof? Do I need to replace my hot water heater? And then estimate out those costs. There's a lot of online resources, but in the same way, you're going to continue to figure out what that monthly or per paycheck amount you need to have in your car repair to have money available when things happen. So I decide how much I'm going to put in. Again, every month, I just keep adding that amount. If I have extra from somewhere else, if I know I'm short, I can add that in. Maybe I didn't spend as much on my groceries and I want to beef up my car repair, I can move it into there. And again, like Christmas, if something happens, I take that money out. Now, if I build this up, you could decide to put a cap on it. And once you hit that cap, you don't contribute anymore. Once you take money out, you would start and contribute, so you go up to the cap. And so I hope that helps to explain how to incorporate these sinking funds or savings into your budget. Again, it'll avoid those huge spikes in expenses. It helps to prevent that credit card debt. Now, not always will it as you're new at your journey, and that's fine. But there's a difference between, remember our example when we said at the very beginning, my insurance is due on my car repair. Now, if I have a little bit and I still have to put it on the card, at least then it's less debt because I have some of the cash. And depending on the amount, maybe next month's regular payment into there will cover that cost. So you already have money set aside. You're not looking for more money to fit into there. The other nice thing is you do not need to make these separate from your budget. On that spreadsheet that I showed you before, is that you can just add this as a line, right? We had that carryover balance, add amount, if you spend any, and then the total amount available. At the end of the month, you can simply roll it over and add it in there again. And that way it's incorporated into your budget. As these get larger, you know, a lot of people ask, well, what am I going to do with it? You could move those into a savings account. Now, I don't think you need to have a separate savings account for each one of these. It just becomes more messy to manage. If you've got it on your budget, you will know what you have. What you could do though, is you could add up those funds and move that amount, the amount of these three, into your savings account, and then the remaining items that you use on a regular basis, cash flow, stay in your checking account. And then as an expense comes up, you can move money into the checking account and use it that way. That's how you can help avoid putting in more credit card debt and even out that budget by using savings or sinking funds to address those types of issues. If you like this video, please make sure you like it. And don't forget to subscribe and get that notification so you can be notified of our next great video. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.